Hey there, welcome to our first video on preparing for and succeeding in college level courses. The purpose of these videos is for high school seniors and current college students, our collegians at college bound, to get some tips, tricks, pointers, advice on how to be successful in courses in college. We're going to hit on four major topics in this series. The first of these topics is reading heavy courses. So these are your literature courses, history, psychology, sociology, anthropology, any course that is reading and discussion based. You'll have at least one, two of these courses, if not many more, in your time as a college student. So let's go ahead and jump in on what we're going to be covering today. So first thing we're going to talk about is how to decode your syllabus for the course. Pay attention to the right material. Next thing we're going to be talking about is how to use your reading time wisely. Since these are reading heavy courses, we want to talk about how to prep you to read, how to take quick notes while you read, and then also how to decode what you read, because these are heavier texts most likely than what you're used to reading in high school. Finally, we would be remiss to not mention how to plan your reading and work time appropriately, because we can have all these tools, but if we don't take the time to do it, we're going to miss the mark. Okay? So like I said, first, we're going to go ahead and talk about syllabus decoding. We're going to want to pay attention to a few things when we look at our syllabus. Those include professor's office hours, required texts for the course, how the course is going to be graded, and the work you're going to be expected to do. The clauses on academic integrity and disability services, as well as the schedule of assignments and topics for the course. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is take a look at a sample syllabus. So this syllabus is from the University of Minnesota, and we are going to take some time to look through it together. It's a literature class. Most likely, the professor would spend the first class going through parts of the syllabus with you, but I would caution you, this should not be the only time you interact with it. It's your roadmap to the course, so make sure you spend some time on your own with it and refer back to it often. First thing you're going to notice is there's a lot of text here, but we want to make sure we hit on those five major things I just mentioned. Okay. First off, here at the very top, professor's office hours. Okay. These are important if you need assistance, you need to talk something out in a way that can't be said in an email. Use these times. Give the professor a little heads up that you're going to be stopped by and show up. These can be very beneficial to forming a relationship with your professor. They can also help your professor put a face with a name, which can be beneficial to you when they are grading a mountain of essays. They say, oh, that person came to my office hours. They're putting in a lot of effort. And then they grade it through that lens of knowing who you are. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and scroll through some of this excess information that we don't need to pay too close attention to. And here is the next thing, required texts. Okay. This class only has one, but if there are more, you need to buy, rent, whatever, get these books. Don't take the words of other students who might tell you don't really need the books or they didn't really use them. You do need them. You do need to use them to be prepared for class, to write your papers, to study for your exams. The texts are going to be your key to that. Next, we have some information about technology, a university-wide grading assessment. These are not super important for your success in the course until we get to here, grading and coursework, okay? So here's where we're going to find what's expected of you over the course of the semester. And this professor's done a good job because she's put some key points here in bold. Participation and attendance cannot be stressed enough. You're allowed 2 absences, and after that, you get a 5% deduction in your grade, okay? So participation, attendance is huge. Of course, there's some things here about extenuating circumstances, but the professor also mentions if you show up late or you leave early or you're on your phone, your participation grade is also going to be docked. Being there, showing up, being prepared for class is going to be a huge part of your grade. Then here we see the types of assignments you're going to be responsible for. It looks like a couple papers, a presentation, and then some exams as well. The details that the professor gives here are going to be super important when you go to write these papers or take these exams. It's going to tell you what's expected of you. So take time to go back and look at these again when you're actually doing the assignments. We also have the percentage points and how much weight that they have for your grade. Papers seem to be weighted just a little bit higher than exams, so we know your writing is going to be important for this course, but everything's super close. I don't see anything that's weighted way higher than anything else. So that shows all of your work is important, including participation. Something I want to touch on really quickly is the academic integrity clause. Please don't cheat. Please don't plagiarize. You should never be copying and pasting something into an assignment unless you are putting quotes around it and you take the time to cite it. The professor does give you some guidelines here on how to avoid plagiarism, some tips. Pay attention to those as you're doing your first couple assignments. The stakes are higher in college than in high school. You cannot use someone else's work without getting them credit, okay? Next thing I want to touch on really quickly is this disability services section. It doesn't apply to everyone, but if you're someone that receives accommodations, make sure you follow the professor's specific instructions to make sure your needs are met. Different professors may have different expectations, so just pay attention to that if it applies to you. Last thing we have on here, probably one of the most important things, is your schedule and when your assignments are going to be due. Let me just tell you, there's nothing worse than showing up to class, everyone around you turning something in, and you not even knowing what it is. A lot of times professors will not remind you if you have an assignment due the next week or the next class. They expect you to keep up with it on your own. So to do that, you need to make sure you put these due dates in your calendars. Like, here's your first paper, it's due the 9th. Put a little reminder for yourself in your planner, in your calendar, in your phone, whatever works best for you. I would just stick to the dates for actual physical things that you have to turn in that are in bold. You don't need to put all of these readings in your calendar or planner. I don't want it to get super clogged up, but we will talk about how to keep up with those readings later in this video. Okay, so we're going to transition now from talking about the syllabus to talking about how we are going to start to use our reading time wisely. So the first thing we are going to talk about is preparing to read. Now, this is something that should actually only take you 5 to 10 minutes, but will make a huge difference in how you grasp and understand the text. So we're going to cover these 4 points: previewing, looking up a summary, covering any research if we need to, and looking at the main points, the main ideas or themes. All of these things are super essential to prep yourself for a class discussion, and it's also a great way to start understanding and organizing your ideas for papers. And we know this class has several. Okay, so we are actually going to look at a text for this course. So if you look here, the cast of Amontillado is one of the first things you have to read. So I have a PDF of it here. First thing, like I said, what we're going to do is to preview the text. So what previewing looks like is paying attention to a few things. First, the title. Cast of Amontillado does not mean a lot to me. Amontillado sounds like it could be Spanish or Italian, so maybe that's where the story takes place. Next, you want to pay attention to the author. This is Edgar Allan Poe, who I have heard of before. I'm pretty sure he writes just like creepy stories, poems, stuff like that. So this could potentially be a creepy story. Next, we want to do is take a look at the images and see if we can gather anything from there. So we have our first image here. 2 men sitting with each other. Potentially, this is who the story is going to be about. They're holding a bottle. They have shadows on their face. This is a dark picture. It looks kind of creepy, so maybe my inference about that is correct. And let's see if there's another picture here. Also very creepy, like a door cracked open, it's super dark, dungeony. So I think my inference is going to be that this story is going to be creepy and it's going to be about these two dudes, and it might take place in Spain or Italy because of this name. Okay. So really quickly after that, we're going to just check and see if our inferences were correct. So we're going to look up a quick summary. Just type into Google, and I've already looked this up, so it's sitting here for us. I like to use SparkNotes, what I'm familiar with. This is not cheating. It's using your resources, okay? You could also potentially watch a video if you have the time and if you learn better that way. But I'm just going to really quickly read the first part of this summary. The narrator, Montresor, opens the story by stating that he has been irreparably insulted by his acquaintance Fortunato, and that he seeks revenge. He wants to exact this revenge, however, in a measured way without placing himself at risk. He decides to use Fortunato's fondness for wine against him. During the carnival season, Montresor wears a mask of black silk, approaches Fortunato. He tells Fortunato he has acquired something that could have passed for Amontillado, a light Spanish sherry. Okay. So I'm not going to read the whole thing because I don't want to spoil the story for myself before I read it, but I'm keying in on a couple of the inferences I made. Montresor and Fortunato are going to be our main characters, probably those two men in the picture. They're talking about a Spanish sherry, a drink called Amontillado. So I was right, it had something to do with Spain. And yeah, a mask of black silk, that sounds kind of creepy. So revenge could also be kind of creepy. So I think my inferences might be correct here. Okay, so now that we have just a general summary, the next thing I like to do is get some concrete themes that we can be looking for while we read. Sometimes SparkNotes is a good resource for this because they have themes here. But then if I look, I got to pay close attention because this is themes for all of Edgar Allan Poe's short stories, and I really just want to focus in on this one. So I'm just going to give a quick Google and actually Google Cask of Amontillado themes. And another site I like to use is Course Hero, so we're going to check that out. Okay, and these are themes just for this specific story. So we have revenge, folly of pride, and paradox. So we already got the revenge vibe from just looking at the summary. We also have folly of pride and paradox. Make sure if you don't understand what these things mean, you do take some extra time to read. They'll give you some examples from the story as well, and so you'll be able to kind of look out for them while you read. Okay, so now that we've kind of previewed and we have an idea of what we're reading and what we're looking for in the story, our themes, we're now going to keep using our reading time wisely and set ourselves up with some notes. So this is the format I like to use for notes because it's super quick, super easy, super straightforward. On a sheet of paper, you can also do this on a computer if that's what you prefer. You give yourself 4 little sections. First section is up here at the top. This is for questions, okay? You can bring these up during discussion or potentially even to your professor during office hours. Over here on the left, we have main ideas. So I'm gonna go ahead and write in what we found out. Montresor is getting revenge on Fortunato. Okay, next we have our themes. So we had our 3 themes, and I'm going to number them. I'll show you why in a second. Was revenge, obviously, strongest theme. Folly of pride. And then the third one was paradox. Okay. Last section over here is our most important one, okay? It says page number, important quotes, thoughts. This is really what's going to start to get you ready for class discussion and ready to write papers. So as you read, This is the column that you're going to be filling in. So let's take a second to just practice what that looks like. I'm going to pull my reading back up. Okay, so let's read through this first part together, and I'm going to show you kind of how this works. Fortunato had hurt me 1,000 times, and I had suffered quietly. But then I learned that he had laughed at my proud name, Montresor, the name of an old and honored family. I promised myself that I would make him pay for this, that I would have revenge. You must not suppose, however, that I spoke of this to anyone. Okay, so first off, here's our first quote that we would probably underline. I promised I would make him pay for this, that I would have revenge. So you would underline that as you were reading. And this is on page 68. So I would go back to my notes. Oops. And I would put page 68. And I would give myself a little number 1 because I know that this is about revenge. This quote on this page that I underline is about revenge. Okay. I would make him pay, yes, but I would act only with the greatest care. I must not suffer as a result of taking my revenge. A wrong is not made right in that manner, and also the wrong would not be made right unless Fortunato knew that he was paying and knew who was forcing him to pay. I gave Fortunato no cause to doubt me. I continued to smile in his face, and he did not understand that I was now smiling at the thought of what I had planned for him, at the thought of my revenge. Fortunato was a strong man, a man to be feared, but he had one great weakness. He liked to drink good wine, and indeed he drank much of it. So he knew a lot about fine wines and proudly believed that he was a trained judge of them. I knew old wines well and bought the best I could find. And wine, I thought, wine would give me my revenge. Okay, so we get a little bit more information about Fortunato here. He knew a lot about fine wines and proudly believed he was a trained judge of them. So this is the next section I would underline for my notes. And this is also page 68. So again, I would put page 68, and this time I would give it a 2 because we're talking about this false sense of pride that Fortunato has about knowing and understanding about wine, okay? And that's kind of what sets us up to say, okay, this is how Montresor is going to get his revenge, okay? So you would continue on doing that for all the themes throughout the story, making notes for yourself in that little shorthand, quick way, so you have something as a key for yourself during class discussion. I would suggest before the class that you're going to discuss this text, get there a few minutes early, get out all your materials to be ready for discussion, read over your notes again, and just remind yourself like what quotes you underlined, how they match up, and what points that you might think are good to bring up in a discussion. Okay. So sometimes there are situations when we set ourselves up for success, we do our pre-reading, we do our notes, but we still don't totally understand what we're reading, and that's okay. College texts can be more difficult than what we've read in the past, and we want to give ourselves some tools to decode them, if you will. So here's a list of questions that you can ask yourself while you read. So I suggest take a screenshot, take a picture of this, write them down, stick them up at your desk. For any amount of text, for either a fiction or a nonfiction text, you can pause and ask yourself these questions in order to find what this passage or section is talking about, get an idea of what's going on or what's happening to who, and get yourself back on track to understanding what you're reading. Don't want to go too deep into it, but I just wanted to give you all this as a resource so you can use it if you were to ever get stuck. Okay. And like I said, it wouldn't be smart of us to give you all these resources if we didn't talk about how to plan to use these resources and actually do these tips and tricks, okay? So the next thing we're going to talk about is planning your reading and work time appropriately. I am going to talk about a method called calendar blocking, and it's a method that I like to use to make sure I make time for everything in my day or week. So these are the simple steps to calendar blocking. Take a picture or screenshot if you want to follow the steps later on your own. But I'm going to go through all of these right now with you as an example. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my sample calendar. Okay. What you'll notice is there's already stuff on it for the week. So what I've done is I've blocked off all the commitments I already have. My classes are blocked off in pink. My work is blocked off in green. Any meetings I have to attend are in blue. And then any social or fun activities I have for myself are in red. It's important to plan the social time as well, just so you know what you have going on when. After you have that done, it's important to make a list of tasks you need to complete for the week. So in this case, since we're talking about this literature course, I thought it would be best just to record the things we need to get done for the week. So we're going to go ahead and pull back up our syllabus to see what we need to get done. We're going to look at week 2 because that's the week for our calendar. See our literature classes here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So let's see what we need to get done for the week. Okay, here we go. So you can make your little list on the computer, on paper, whatever works best for you. Here, to be prepared for class on Tuesday, all I need to have done is some readings. So before class on Tuesday, that looks like it's about 13 pages. I don't want bold and underlined. Before Tuesday, 13 pages lit reading, okay? The reason I'm being specific and I'm not just saying lit reading in my to-do list is because I want to know actually how much time I need to plan for this task, okay? Then if I look before Thursday, what I need to get done, I have 3 more readings. And then I also have this Moodle to do, which is like an online posting assignment. So then I have before Thursday, okay, this is a lot more reading. That's about 60 pages. Woo! Okay, 60 pages, lit reading. And then I also have my lit Moodle. Okay, after I've listed everything I need, and you would want to do this for all your classes, not just one, you're going to go back to your calendar and start to take a look at times you have open. So before Tuesday, I need to get this 13-page lit reading done. Here's my lit class. I have some time in the morning, but that's a lot of time. Don't know if I'm going to want to wake up that early. I have a lot of time here, but I don't know. I don't really need a lot of time to read 13 pages. So I think I'm going to really zero in on this short break that I have between my classes. And I'm going to put my lit reading there. I'm going to give myself an hour since it's still early in the semester and I don't know how long the readings will take me. Okay, and then it's done. It's planned. Okay. So now before Thursday, I need to make sure I read those 60 pages and have the Moodle done. So 60 pages is a lot more than 13, so I might need 2.5 hours to get that done. So I'm looking for bigger blocks of time, which unfortunately there's not a lot in my schedule except for either early morning or in the evening. So I'm thinking evening's probably a better bet because I know myself, I work well at night. So I'm going to go ahead and put my readings here. This will be after my meeting when I come back from the library. Or I could just stay in the library after my meeting and go ahead and get those readings done. I've given myself like 3 hours of time because again, it's early in the semester. I don't know how long these things are going to take me. It's best to overplan and have more time and get to go to bed than underplan and not get everything you need to get done. And then last thing we need to put in our calendar to get done is our Moodle. Moodles are super short, probably only need 30 minutes to do it. honestly, I'm just going to do this right before my bio class because I get up early Wednesdays anyway, and then the readings will be fresh in my mind from the night before. So I'm just going to get that lit little done really quick. You'll notice I've highlighted all of these assignments in yellow. I highlighted them in yellow because I know this is dedicated work time where I should be sitting down and actually focusing to complete these, and that differentiates it from the other things on my calendar. Okay. So we've got a solid overview on the important things that you need to be paying attention to for a reading heavy course. Okay. College is different from high school because you don't really have a lot of time in class to work on your assignments. So it's super important to plan, to be prepared, to engage in class, complete your assignments ahead of time, because being ahead is ultimately what's going to make you successful and help you feel better about staying on top of work and having good grades. Okay, it's important to know yourself, pay attention to times that work for you in your calendar, but also be honest with yourself. If you need larger blocks of time to work, use those wisely on the days that you have them. Consider moving other things in your schedule around, like social events, so you can make those larger blocks of time work for you. All right, well, I hope you found this video helpful. I hope it wasn't too overwhelming. Watch it in chunks if you need to, break it down. We're showing you all these resources because we know now that you have them, you have everything you need to be successful. You're smart. You got here to college, so you can do this. And best of luck to you. Hope you can join us for our other videos in the future. Thank you.